Well, after almost 2 weeks of incessant downpour resulting in a flood situation in Kerala, normal life has come to a standstill. Businesses too have been hit, and one such business or one such bank that is situated there is Federal Bank, which in fact is headquartered in the state itself. To take stock of the situation and what the impact is on the business, we have Mr. Shyam Srinivasan, the MD and CEO of Federal Bank, now joining in to talk to us. Mr. Srinivasan, hi, thanks very much for joining in this morning. Firstly, if you can just give us a ground check in terms of what exactly is happening in the state right now in terms of the rescue efforts, as well as how exactly has Federal Bank been impacted, say in terms of a couple of your branches which are situated in the areas that have been impacted the most?
Thank you and good morning. Yes, it's been a period of extreme stress for everybody, all residents here. Most of Kerala is now sort of over the worst, and people are resuming or beginning to resume their normal lives and trying to rebuild. You might have read and seen certainly that there have been extreme cases of people struggling to get out of their homes and ensure that they are safe. I'm happy that that part is pretty much addressed, and now it's really the comeback and build back of many areas. Most areas that were low-lying and in and around the riverbed have been the maximum impacted. And that's about 4 or 5 specific locations which will have the build back will take much longer. I think the key point is that there is an enormous amount of resilience. I'm reminded of the days when we were in the either 9/11 or the 26/11 in Mumbai or any of that, how people come back. And this being such a magnitude, the comeback has been remarkable. I've had great opportunity to go and interact with so many people who are struggling. The confidence, the composure and the willingness to come back is extremely good. For us in the bank, barring about 30 branches across the state, everybody is back to work, every system is back, and those 30 will take maybe like till Wednesday to come back. So largely, we are in comeback mode. I don't see loss of continuity of work or business. Yes, people will take a lot of efforts in bringing back livelihoods, particularly people upstream who have had challenges in their plantations. So that's going to be something that has to be assessed. But in short, the worst is over. People are coming back very resiliently. I read somewhere today said, waters recede, morale rises. So I think that's the key takeaway I would say at this point in time. And in the bank, we are back again.
So you're saying 30, except 30 branches, all the other branches are working normally. How many branches do you have in Kerala, sir?
Through the worst period, which was Thursday, Friday last week, which is when the sort of maximum downpour, maximum disruption, out of our roughly 600 branches in Kerala, even in that period, half of them were able to do some skeleton work because people were disrupted in most of the system. As of this morning, 557 branches are up and running. 37 branches or 34 branches are the ones who are beginning to come back. That may take till end of the day or worst case tomorrow. Thankfully, this week has some holidays, so the comeback is to that extent protected faster.
Mr. Srinivasan, so okay, let's just put some more numbers to this. I was reading that you have about 45% of your business comes from Kerala. Am I right?
No, the way it works, Prashant, is 30% of our credit book is in Kerala, and 65% of our deposits book is in Kerala. Of the 30%, 35% of credit book, about 1/3 of that is corporate, large ticket, government business. Retail and mid-market and SME is about 25,000 crores, about 25,000 crores. That's about 25% of our business. And the deposit business is the reverse, about 65,000 crores is from Kerala.
Okay, just to break, so 30% of your credit book is in Kerala, which is basically 30% of your advances are in Kerala. And you broke that down to say 25% is retail and SME, right?
And 25% of our all India book is retail and SME. So
could you break down 30% advances in Kerala for us? How much is retail? How much is corporate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 6,000 crores, 6,500 crores of the 32,000 crores is corporate. So roughly retail SME is about 25,000 crores of data. 23, 25, give or take around that.
Okay. Mr. Srinivasan, you're probably expecting your SME and agri book to be impacted the most in terms of exposure within the space impacted, right? In Kerala?
Yeah, I think it's too early to comment. When the demonetization happened, we all panicked that life will fall apart. Within weeks, banks were back and we were back in action. I treat this on the similar. I'm not diminishing or downplaying the challenge, but I would hesitate to make any guesses at this point in time the magnitude of the damage. We know it's very disruptive, but I also believe that each bank and the regulators will deal with it in a very sensible manner. So I'm not yet in any kind of judgment on how bad or how deep the problem is. To my mind, for sure, the comeback in some of these areas will be very swift. I mean, when we were in the middle of it on Thursday, even I was worried whether we'd be able to get back to work. Today, we are all back in full flow, and people have to live, right? People have to win back their own life. So I am quite confident that we should not over-trumpet the problem and create a situation. I think the maximum impact would be in certain pockets, which has to be dealt with sensibly, just like the way various other crises have been dealt with. But you will see the comeback is quite significant and swift.
In such a case, in any case, the RBI would probably provide some amount of leeway, some kind of special dispensation as they have in past cases, right?
No, like they have given some relief on the customers based on GST, they have given up till December. So through SLBC, through IBA and ourselves, we are reaching out to RBI, presenting the case. We may not get an outcome in a few days, but I'm sure by end of the month there will be clarity on the regulatory forbearance, if there is any, that can be brought to customers, because they surely need time to review. And that will, I think, be the focus. But I can't say that just now, but through SLBC, through IBA, and directly we'll reach out to RBI and present this. So we may expect something by end of the month.
Okay, expect something by the end of the month. Mr. Srinivasan, out of the loan book, could you, give us some idea? I mean, what is still receding? So the assessment of the damage will take some time to begin with. But in your experience, which parts of the loan book, the lending book, are likely to see stress? I mean, if you can just give us some color in your experience, where is the stress likely to emerge in?
What is going to happen, Shyam, is, and from your surname, I'm sure that you have connections in Kerala.
Yes, I do, sir. I do. Yes.
There are pockets where the waters have entered homes and disrupted very materially. So things like furniture, just rebuild of homes, electrical stuff, all that is going, including the place I live. So all of us are impacted to some extent in this. So the real issue is around rebuild. Physically, houses breaking down, people losing property is not that significant. Of the people who have had bank borrowed, there may be people downstream or upstream in the river, Idukki area, where they have lost physically. That is a very different, I won't think that's a natural bank borrow profile. So we have to treat this at two levels. One is at the human element, people are suffering. Second is how do banks deal with customers who have issues. So the rebuild of buying more furniture, buying TVs, getting your wiring, getting your bed set is actually going to be consumption positive. Where will they get the money? There has to be banks and some sensible loaning process has to happen. All of us are announcing stuff. So I think this has to be seen very differently, as in it's a basket case. I just saw this morning there's an overreaction by every media as though everything is collapsed and life will come to a halt. I mean, all of us are back to work. I think we should watch out from a point of view of how does the rebuild happen and what's the loss that people have to bring back. The immediate need will be just the simple stuff like getting a bed, chairs, sofas, television, fridge, all this either working or buy. That's going to be one set of issues that will be dealt with. Businesses being lost, inventories that people are holding on autos, those will have challenges. Then the comeback of businesses, whether it is seafood, I don't think they will be impacted. Whether people getting back to work, everybody has to live, so that's not going to be impacted. Metro is up and about on day 2. I was transported in the metro. So I don't think those will suffer in any sense. I think what will happen near term is the confidence building, giving immediate support to get back to homes, cleaning up roads, cleaning up the slushy areas, which will happen, I think, over the next 3-4 days. It helps there are a few holidays, so disruption to that extent is lower. But to my mind, if I speak to you end of August, the story will be
very different and much better, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Let's absolutely hope so. Mr. Srinivasan, would you have the breakup in terms of what is, in terms of advances, how much of this advances in Kerala as a state are concentrated in these particular districts, Aluva, Wayanad, Pathanamthitta? I mean, if you can give us some idea. What percentage of the book is in these areas? I will tell you, Prashant, if you take our 590 branches in Kerala, around 75-80 branches is in the territory you mentioned right now. Okay. Where I moved my office from Aluva to Ernakulam today, where I am sitting, I wouldn't even know that there was a event happening only 20 kilometers from here. Okay. Okay. Right? So Ernakulam, mercifully, is not impacted. The big commercial centers of Trivandrum or the major towns are less impacted. Tourism destinations like Wayanad, Munnar, Shabarimala, Aluva for reason, Chenganur, these are places that are impacted. So the impact can be on arrivals, Kochi airport being suspended for a period of 10 days. So thankfully the alternate locations, the first commercial flight has landed today. So I think the resilience of comeback is strong. The business impact, I would think, this is a guess I'm hazarding, about 10% of the branches, 10 to 15% of our branches are in this territory. I'm just taking a proxy of that as the business. So you're talking about 15% of the business credits of our bank, and therefore similar for many parts of the other lenders. So you could argue 15% of the credit book of the state, which to my mind is about 3 lakh crores, would be the challenge.
Okay.
In terms of, just one last question, sir, from my side. In terms of crops being damaged and that kind of thing, would I be wrong in saying that the dependence on short crops, and paddy, etc., over time is reduced? And I mean, we're talking more about, rubber and that kind of thing, right? I mean, plantations, etc.
So, vibrant of agri-economy, right? Food is largely imported from outside.
Correct. So then the latter is less affected because of the floods, etc. I mean, short crops are washed away, which is not the case here.
Rubber is not, but the argument is rubber prices may go up. So to some extent it will offset the loss of plantation.
Okay. And also dependence on livestock, etc. Like, for example, what we had seen in the case of Jammu and Kashmir, where the dependence on livestock rearing, etc. is very high. In Kerala, that's not the case, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, all right. Just
I don't want to diminish this as a non-event or each institution.
No, absolutely.
For us, over the last 6-7 years, our non-Kerala business is now 75% of our flow. Kerala remittance business. I see both rupee where it is and the need for money coming in. Remittance will increase at least 40%, which will be a massive benefit. Rebuild will be a massive benefit. Demand consumption increase because of people having to get their lives back. Some challenges in geographies that need infra improvement. That's the commitment of the state. I think that will happen. And there's resources is not going to be the issue. It's the smartness of utilization of the resources will be the issue.
Okay. All right, just before we wrap up then, sir, just a quick summary. You are expecting some amount of special dispensation probably coming in from the Reserve Bank of India. You don't have a clear idea in terms of what the NPA slippage could be from the event as of now, and net there could be a credit positive come through simply because of the consumption demand which could increase on account of the damage. Is that correct?
Your last point, surely yes. On the first point, whether regulator and the dispensation, it's a request. I don't know what the outcome will be. The credit pain may not be very deep for long. If at all, it could be a few months and it sort itself out. And if the dispensations come, even that will get sorted out. I think the focus near term is really the sort of strong comeback and building back. And there is this real, and I say this not because I live here, it is just quite amazing. We used to trumpet Mumbai's resilience. You'll be surprised at the resilience and the confidence and the. I've not seen even one person who's complained about this event yet, and I've had the chance of doing many things here the recent few days to just get lives back. It's just quite remarkable.
Mr. Srinivasan, thank you very much for joining us and patiently answering all those questions. Very useful conversation, not just from a business point of view, but I think you gave a real color of what's going on in the ground. As you said, I mean, for example, the first flight landed and that kind of color, important. Thanks very much. Appreciate you joining in, and our thoughts and prayers, of course, with everyone, all of you there in Kerala. And we hope that things come back to normalcy, as you said, in the next many days.
Yeah, when I give you an update in September, it'll be quite an increase.
It'll be absolutely. Look forward to it, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, all right. So that is the management at Federal Bank giving us some real color on what's happening. 5% lower. It's lost, I think, about 8 or 9% in the last two trading sessions. Markets 70 points higher, 11,500.